day, everyone. We are Group 3 and we are here to present our proposed electronic solid waste management and analysis of Norway's case. Our team discovered that the data on electronic waste management is scarce for developing countries like the Philippines. The country's legislation, e-waste management facilities, economic capacity, and public awareness regarding the waste from electrical and electronic equipment or WEEE are limited. Thus, the existing statistical records for e-waste are nowhere to be found. Based on existing studies, European countries have the most amount of data for waste from electrical and electronic equipment. Looking at the waste analysis and characterization for preliminary data of WEEE, it has 6 categories. Category 1 is for heating and cooling equipment. Category 2, screens, monitors, and equipment containing screens with surface of more than 100 square centimeters. Category 3, light sources. Category 4, other large products where one of the outer dimensions is over 50 centimeters. Category 5, small products where the longest outer dimension is less than 50 centimeters. And Category 6, smaller IT and telecommunications equipment where the longest outer dimension is less than 50 centimeters. Among these categories, 12% of total waste are used for energy recovery and a high percentage of 82% are used for material recovery. For Table 2, the material composition of common WEEE products from each category is shown. Category 1, refrigerator. Category 2, television. Category 3, compact fluorescent lamp production. Category 4, dishwasher. Category 5, microwave. And Category 6, smartphone. Among these reference products, some have high percentage of steel, glass, and plastic, and almost all have low percentage of aluminum, copper, and precious metals. Looking at Figure 1, which represents the yearly mass of each WEEE category and its material composition, we can see that Category 4 leads the total yearly mass of waste, and light blue bars, which represent steels, has the large composition percentage for most WEEE categories.
So for the next slide, we have here the flowchart schematic diagram of the solid waste management system. So this is the context of the WEEE flow in Norway, which is the waste from electrical and electronic equipment. This is the average yearly flow investigated from the period of 2019 to 2022, which is based on Matson et al. 2023. As we can see here, some of the inputs include the collection facilities consumer of the WEEE, which is categorized into 6 categories based on the dimension, sources, and type of materials. So these materials and waste is later on collected, sorted, and shredded by the EPR companies, which is all subjected to material recovery and later on for recycling, incineration, and landfilling. Some of them are subjected for material recovery, but just for incineration and for landfilling. As you can see here, not all of the materials or waste are collected, sorted, and shredded, but scavenged. So these scavenged materials and waste are uh, later on illegally exported. Another inputs is the residual waste, which is waste that are non-recyclable left after recovery and recycling processes. So this is um, subjected for or subjected into curbside collection and later on for incineration. So this is the process flow chart, and one of the challenges highlighted by Matson et al. In managing electronic waste is the lack of transparency in downstream treatment chains within the WEEE management sector. So this opacity complicates efforts to evaluate resource recovery efficiency and environmental impacts of different recycling process. Improving transparency is essential for optimizing recycling outcomes and minimizing the ecological footprint of e-waste management systems. So, we are here na sa process and operations. So first, we have the known pre-treatment and recovery treatment methods for e-waste based on Shahabuddin et al. 2022. For the pre-treatment methods, we have the manual dismantling, the mechanical dismantling and separation, and a combination of both manual and mechanical processes. For the manual dismantling, so this involves physically separating components of e-waste by hand. So, mga ganun. And for the mechanical dismantling and separation naman, syempre, it utilizes machines to shred, sort, and separate materials based on size, weight, and other properties. And for the combination of both, so it is the integration of manual precision with mechanical efficiency for optimal pre-treatment of e-waste. And we also have here the separation techniques, which includes low intensity magnet drums, which separate ferrous metals from e-waste, and electric conductivity-based separation tools to separate non-ferrous metals from non-metals, and also e-gravity method using airflow or water flow tables and sifting. Another method is the metal recovery treatment methods, which is the pyrometallurgy and the hydrometallurgy. So based on definition, pyrometallurgy, um, it uses high temperature process to extract and refine metals, while hydrometallurgy is for aqueous process for metal extraction. So, in terms of process, the pyrometallurgy involves melting, roasting, or refining at high heat, while hydrometallurgy involves leaching, precipitation, and solvent extraction. So, the pyrometallurgy is commonly used to extract ferrous metal from e-waste, while the hydrometallurgy is commonly used for recovering non-ferrous metals, for example, the copper, lead, and zinc. Another one is the waste from electrical and electronic component management in Norway by Ila, Mela, and Roman 2019. So we have here steps. First is the receival of collected WEEE and sorting and manual dismantling. Next is the shredding and separation components. And fourth is the material recovery. For the receival of collected WEEE, waste electrical and electronic components is gathered from collection points and transported to treatment facilities. For the sorting and manual dismantling, devices are sorted by type and components are manually disassembled for targeted recovery. For shredding and separation components, remaining materials are shredded and valuable components are separated using mechanical processes. So we have here ABC. First is a separated hazardous component, which is directed to special hazardous waste treatment. And for recyclables, for material recycling, and for residuals is for the energy recovery. And finally, for the material recovery, the recyclable materials such as the metals and plastic are extracted and processed for reuse.
Lastly, for the recommendations, we propose three waste management tools that treatment plants in the semiconductor industry may utilize to help plant assess their solid waste impacts and at the same time optimize material flows and treatments. First is the life cycle assessment. As discussed in the module, it is a standardized method for accounting from input to output streams involved throughout the life cycle of a material or a service. This can provide the company with results to guide them on which part of the process or what things need to be changed in the product based on all the database and assumptions they made. Kim and others study in 2004, they used a life cycle assessment in evaluating the recycling potential of different waste, including electronic waste. From their study, they found that circuit boards have one of the highest recycling potential from an economic perspective. This is supported by Hischer and others study in 2005. According to them, that recovery and recycling of electronic waste in Switzerland produce lower environmental impact compared to the incineration of the same type of waste. Next, the material flow analysis. It is a tool that focuses on studying the material root of electronic waste. It provides insights into how raw materials are transformed into finished semiconductor products and how byproducts or waste are managed. With this, it can help evaluate solid waste management practices, strategies, and systems. In addition, this can be used for evaluating the recycling potential of high value materials such as gold and copper in in electronic waste. Lastly, the multi-criteria analysis or MCA. It is a decision-making tool used to evaluate qualitative and quantitative factors. It is useful for determining the most suitable option management strategies considering cost and environmental impact. The difference between this and in LCA, in LCA, companies should provide a database or basis, while on MCA, the company should provide a clear objective regarding their waste management. MCA may provide then an alternative process or materials. However, this method is less common in electronic waste management, but still complementary to other assessment and decision-making tools. That's all, everyone. Thank you for your time. Our group is now open to any questions. We are also looking forward to listening to your insights. Thank you.